Welcome to the Spiritualpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Christian, aka Love Pixel. And in each episode, we sit down with spiritual entrepreneurs sharing their knowledge, wisdom, and tools on their path to authentic success. Let's dive in. What's up, beautiful people? This is Christian from the Successful Spiritualpreneur Podcast. And today I'm super honored to have Kelly Sullivan Walden on the show. She is known as Dr. Dream. And she's a dream expert, TEDx speaker, best-selling author who helps people decode their dreams and manifest their deepest desires. And after a near-death experience at the age of 40, that revealed something to her that how similar dying is to dreaming. And Kelly dedicated her life to teaching people not to take their dreams lying down. She's the author of 11 books, creator of 7 Oracle decks, and host of the Dreamifesting podcast, helping you to helping everyone from stay-at-home parents to celebrities unlock what's hiding in their blind spots. Welcome to the show, Kelly.
Christian, it's so wonderful to be with you. You are such a lovely love pixel. It's wonderful to be in your presence.
You. Yes. Talking about the name Love Pixel, because that was a dream many, many years ago of mine. And in my life,
that came to you in a dream?
No, it wasn't like it was.
It was an aspiration.
It was a waking dream. But in my life, things have always been about combining the tangible with the intangible, right? That's why I love Pixel. Or another brand I have started recently is called One with Tea. It's a tea brand, right? So tea is the tangible part, and then becoming one with it is the intangible part. So the combination of those two worlds, like the masculine and the feminine, the yin and the yang, I think that for me in my life, that is where, at that intersection is where I live a lot. Because it's so rich.
I love that. I talk about that so often when sometimes I work with authors because I've written so many books, and I love to support people that have books in them. And one thing I'll talk about in their titles is exactly what you just said, kind of finding a title that is both, that's kind of a cognitive dissonance, kind of like bringing the ethereal to the material. And that, I mean, Dreamifesting is exactly that. It's like, the higher, more lofty, etheric, spiritual aspect with like, okay, how can it grow corn? How can it become material and help us in our lives? And just like chicken soup for the soul. And it's like one of the most successful books ever, or book series, I should say. But yeah, that's wonderful. Love Pixel.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's interesting how things tend to, like, the things that really come true, that become manifest, right? Those are the ones that it takes time, I guess, because, in a way, in a sense, if everything would manifest that we want, that we desire, we would probably spend more time fixing what we just desired rather than, you understand?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, my God. I think of this. There was a show on television a long time ago, probably before your time, called The Twilight Zone. Not Twilight, but The Twilight Zone. And it was, there was this one episode where there's this bank robber that gets shot at while he's like in mid bank robbery. And he goes to this place that is beautiful and full of light and magical, and there's all these beautiful women that are all over him, and he plays pool, and every shot he hits, it goes straight to where he wants it. He plays darts, it goes always to the bullseye. Everything he does is perfect. And there's this kind of concierge, and he says to him eventually, I am so bored. I think you should send me to the other place. And the guy says, what makes you think you aren't in the other place? Like, he was in hell. It seemed like heaven to have everything. But then it was like, yeah, we don't really want that. We want to be able to kind of earn what we get. And if we did, as Abraham Hicks says, if we got everything we wanted in the moment we wanted it, we'd be in for a world of hurt. It'd be hard. So it's good that there's a little bit of a gap between desire and fulfillment.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about Dreamifesting. Let's dive into how how you've come up with that, what's behind it. Yeah, I mean you have, I think, so many pathways in that book that lead together,
Hmm. So Dreamifesting is really at the heart of what I've been doing for my whole career as Dr. Dream, because I think I'm a very spiritual person, but I'm also very practical. I think of myself as a practical mystic. And there's a shaman friend of mine that says, "Does it grow corn?" And I love that saying because it's so simple. Like if you do something, does it make a difference? Does it really come back to you? And not Monsanto corn that is like, not good for you, but like does it grow healthy corn? And to me, dreams and dream work does grow corn. When I pay attention to my dreams, even if it's just a little bit, even if I don't spend an hour, like sometimes I just have a few minutes to look at a dream, write it down and just, do something very quickly. But if I have a dream kind of on my mind, like today, for example, one little piece of a dream that stood out was this mushroom, this kind of, it's this color, the color of my shirt. So if people are listening, it's kind of a magenta maroon color, this big maroon mushroom that is growing on my property that's huge. It's like this big. And I've walked by it a bunch of times going, oh, that's interesting. But it showed up in my dream, like pay attention to me. So I took pictures of it today and I sent it to my best friend, Joey Sutton, who's a holistic health practitioner. And I know she and I are going to talk about it later. Like, what is this? And so there's something about, like, I have no idea what that's going to lead to or if that's significant at all. But it's what I do. I pay attention to those little taps on the shoulder because of where the conversation might lead. It might have nothing to do with mushrooms. It might have everything to do with it. It might be, oh my God, that's so poisonous. You got to get rid of it because it might, hurt your dog. Or it might be like, oh my God, this is a phenomenon. Maybe, who knows? But
Mm.
there's been so many instances where I have taken a little pixel of a dream. It doesn't even have to be the whole dream. And I integrate it into my life and it has brought changes to my life. Like this dream that I had that I was swimming with dolphins and I became one of them. And and that was years ago, but I can still remember this feeling of flow. In my dream, I woke up sobbing and my pillow was drenched with tears. And I had this awareness like, oh my God, I finally understand flow. And by contrast, who I had been before that dream was so robotic compared to who I was in that dream. And so that it's kind of like it's a North Star for me to meditate on, for me to just get into my soul. So, and then, oh, P.S., my contact lenses didn't work later that same day. And like my eyes were blurry. So I had to go to the eye doctor and they measured my eyes. And the reason my contacts weren't working is because my eyesight had improved so much that I needed a whole new prescription so I could see properly. So that dream actually healed to a good degree my eyesight. So dreams are magical, and those are just a few of my examples, but I've got so many others from myself and also other people that actually use their dreams to win the lottery, to meet the person of their dreams and to find the career of their dreams and so many things. So dreams are practical, and that's the nature of Dreamifesting. It's a 12-week journey. Some people do it in 12 months, but it's divided into sections so that you could do it on your own with a group, so you could go really deep with the exercises and in the end become a dreamifester, become somebody who uses the intelligence of the subconscious mind, the dreaming mind, as a practical tool to make our waking lives better.
Hmm. And what are some, like, is there a simple exercise that you can say from your book or that people can apply like right away to get
Yeah.
into a better state before
Yeah.
before going to bed?
So one of the first exercises I have people do in the book is called to identify your soul goal. So Christian, I'm going to borrow you for an example on how you do this. So we start with a goal. So if you'd be willing to talk about a goal. This is so there's 4 steps in Dreamifesting. This is step 1, identifying the soul goal. You start by just something that you're working on. Like it could be more success in your business, it could be having another child, it could be whatever. So is there any goal that you're working on in your life right now?
I would say to touch 1 million lives with the tea that I bring into the world.
Okay, so to touch 1 million lives with the tea that you're bringing into this world. I love that. That's excellent. Okay, perfect. So let's imagine that I'm a genie and I just granted your wish. You got it. You've reached a million, you've touched a million people. A million people have drank your tea and have been like, oh, this is delicious. Oh my God. So you're in that reality. If you could see yourself, you're sparkling a little bit more brightly than you were even just a few minutes before. So how does it feel to be in this reality where it's not a goal now, it's something that's already a happening? What does that feel like?
To me, it feels like I've created like a unified field in a way, because
Yeah.
it's a creation that I've brought forth that has given people a state or has done something in their lives. And if it just does 10% of what it has done in my life, T, um, then I'll be very impacted by that.
Okay, so you've created this unified field, this connectedness. And even if they just get 10% of what you've gotten from it, then people are better for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so just absorb that. And now what's underneath that? What does that allow you to feel or connect with if you are in this unified field? All these people are benefiting from your tea. What's under that?
And a sense of oneness, community, shared experience, uh, relaxation, motivation, because tea brings both.
Relaxation and motivation and that unity.
Yeah. Tea is a very interesting plant. It has yin and yang, right? It's not
Yes, like Love Pixel.
correct.
Right. Okay, so one more notch. Let's just go one more place. So you've got all of this happening, this community, this yin and yang, the like exhilaration and relaxation. Then one more, yeah, what's under that? What's the feeling?
It's kind of like showing people a part of themselves that they
Mm.
they always had before, but they just forgot, right?
So
It's like
showing people an aspect of themselves that they've always had, but they forgot.
correct.
And so what does that do for you? What's the give back to you when you're allowed to do that, when you're having that kind of an impact? What does that feel like inside your skin?
Feels like a wise teacher.
A wise teacher. So so
Like
the being a
to be the source of wisdom, of oneness, of connection for those people.
So wise teacher being the source of connection. So it's all about these other people. And I keep wanting it to come closer to you, but the wise teacher, it's not about the wise teacher, it's about everybody else. And
Well,
yet
because
there's
I
some,
know that the other people are me, have that
yeah,
awareness.
there you
Maybe not
go.
all the time throughout the day, but now that you ask me,
There
yes.
you go. So you're also reminding yourself about all that was dormant is now activated and present. So tell me how that feels in a feeling. What does that feel like to be fully accessed as this wise teacher?
I feel that you're just floating is in this essence of oneness, right? When you give something of yourself, which comes from inspired place to others, and it gets reflected back, and you see it has an impact. Um,
Yes,
so it's just
that's
a reflection
great.
of yourself back
So
to.
floating in this essence of oneness.
Mhm,
Okay, so floating in this essence of oneness, we'll pause there. So
mhm.
we could say that this little exercise has helped you to get to what I would call your soul goal. So this is what's driving it. This is what's under it. This floating essence of oneness.
Yeah, and it's also, I think the best way to describe it is like I help people become one with tea, which is the name of the brand, one with themselves.
Ah, one with T, one with themselves. And that's also you being at one with you, at one with them. There's no they, it's just this ecstatic state of oneness. Okay, so that's the goal. So that's the soul goal. So what we could say is, so step one, so it takes a long time to come to the soul goal initially, but once you've got it, you have it. So it's easy going forward. So you've identified what we would call the ego goal, which, it's just what's on the surface, which is having a million, what did you say, a million people, touching a million people with this beautiful tea.
Yeah.
And so that's the ego goal, and the soul goal is floating in this essence of oneness. So I want you to imagine that there's like this, it's kind of like this hologram, this circle that is the floating in the essence of oneness, and in the center of it is a million people touched by this tea. So we call that hologram with your ego goal in the middle, we give it a nickname. It's your soul goal now. It contains all of those things. So what your job is to do is, before you go to sleep tonight, if you don't already, get two little touchstones. Maybe it's some of the tea that you put on your nightstand, so that you would think of a million people and you can write it down. And then also something that is, maybe it's something from nature, or something that you write down. You put a slip of paper on your nightstand that says floating in the essence of oneness. So you can remember, it's not just about a million people getting the tea, it's about that underneath quality, and having access to it now, without, like, even before a million people have been touched by the tea. So you start with that. So that's the bedtime ritual. I call that step one, creating a dream cocoon. So before you go to sleep, you sort of wrap yourself in the essence of that feeling tone, as well as the thought about that goal. And it's as if you're handing all of that over to your dreams, and you go to sleep and you say, dreams, pick up where I left off. Show me what I can't see. What's in my blind spot? So step two is you wake up in the morning and you remember some dream, even if it's just a pixel, even if it's just John Muir, the great, late great naturalist. He said, if you only have one leaf from the forest, that leaf contains the entire forest. So one love pixel from a dream contains the whole dream. So even, like, I only remembered the mushroom from last night, but that's enough. That's okay. I don't have to have everything. So step two is the remembering. Step three is the writing it down and putting it into my jet set formula. And we can talk about that later. It's a dream decoding formula that's at the center of Dreamifesting. It's kind of the way to bridge the ethereal to the practical and to the human. So you put it through this formula, and then the last step is you do something tangible with whatever you remembered in your dream. You like I with the mushroom, I took a picture of it, sent it to my friend, and said, "Let's talk about this. What is this? What do you think?" So that's it. That's the 4 steps, and you can practice that tonight, starting with the dream cocoon, which is really placing the soul goal and on your nightstand, thinking about that for a moment before you go to sleep. How does
Hmm.
that sound? How does that land on you?
That sounds lovely. Sounds like I'm drinking tea and building an empire while I'm sleeping.
I'm going to have some of this tea, Christian. You know, we're going to have to talk about this. I need to
Well,
try it. I want to help you get your million people.
it's called
So,
one with tea. Very simple.
okay, well, we have a sidebar conversation to have about this.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Um, yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for that exercise. I think it always helps to make things again, like you said, practical. So people can
yeah.
go take this. Listeners can go take this and apply it in their own lives. And like from your experience or from other maybe clients that you've worked with or just like the recent past, what is something that I don't know, costumes are so different. Can you pin down any threads or trends, or I don't know what you call it?
Mm,
Very
yeah,
hard question because they're very individual.
yeah,
But there's something that you've observed over the years.
sure. Well, I would say I could put dreams into 2 buckets, 2 different categories. And I think our dreams are doing so much for us, but at the very least, they're doing these 2 things. Either they're helping us to alchemize or get rid of what's holding us back, like a limited belief, a thought about ourselves that isn't helping us. So something negative, and that would be, or something that's just not helpful. So we
Mm.
would put that in the nightmare category. And I have a very specific way of working with nightmares that is very empowering. In fact, that's kind of at the core of my work, is to look at every dream as if it comes to you in the service of your health, healing, and wholeness, even if it's scary. And then there's the other category of dreams that would be more aspirational, that would be more um, about flying, floating, communing with Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, getting the answers, getting a download, having. I was just on Lisa Garr, The Aware Show, and The Aware Show came directly out of a dream that she was on a train in her dream, and there was all this recording equipment on the train, on every car of the train, and there were all these different shows, and the train was called Aware, and there was Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, Marianne Williamson, all in these different, like, these conversations that were super inspiring, and she was just like, "Oh my god, I want to be a part of this." And she woke up and thought, "Oh, I'm going to start the Aware Show." And it came straight from that dream. And it was this like locomotive of consciousness that was moving in this really positive direction. And she's been doing it for all these years. So that would be like an aspirational dream. So my mushroom dream, maybe there's 3 categories, where there's the WTF, like, what? Where it's not negative, it's not painful, and it's not obviously aspirational, but it's kind of like, I have no idea what to do with that. I mean, and that requires me to have to practice what I preach, which is to put it through the jet set formula, which takes it from being like WTF into, okay, I know what this means. So those are kind of that kind of runs the gamut. And if you want, I mean, I can break down my own little dream, or I could work on one of yours. If you've got a dream, we could see which category to put it into.
I had
But
I had a dream recently. Not, I mean, obviously not many details, but I remember
that's okay.
it was about my former teacher at university.
Hmm.
Um, he was a very like polarizing guy, very interesting guy. He was teaching about like art, economy. Like it was a very like generalist, universalist class that we took with him,
Mm-hmm.
and it was
Mm-hmm.
always very engaging because it wasn't about like marketing principles or math or accounting. It was more. It just felt
Mm.
more whole, more complex.
Mm.
And I remember in that dream, like I imagined him as like this father figure, right? Because there's this like
Mm.
authority relationship where I'm the student, he's the teacher, right? Um, so that's all I got for now.
Okay.
Actually, good.
Perfect. Okay, is there any other details? If not, that's fine. This is plenty to work with.
Another detail is that um, he is bisexual. He's gay,
Okay. Okay.
and that was like it was among students. It was always like it was this controversy that it's like oh yeah,
Mm.
it's like because it's not as common I would say in Germany as it is in the U.S. Right? So it was like
Ah.
more stigma around that topic.
Mm.
Um, Even though like I don't mind, I always thought he's just like more bubbly, more bright.
Mm. Interesting. So
Yeah,
in the dream, were you back then or were you your current age?
it was back then.
Back then. Okay. And all right, so I'm gonna show you the jet set formula while working on your dream. So it's an acronym. The reason I call it jet set is back in the day, people used to say people that were frequent flyers were part of the jet set. They were flying, they were going places, doing things. And
Hmm.
I believe our dreams are always trying to help us to fly, always trying to help us to lighten our load and connect more with our light so that we can fly. So the J represents just the facts, ma'am, which you just did perfectly. So you get an A plus so far in the jet set. The E is for the emotion or the energy of this dream. So can you describe what it felt like to be back in this scene?
Hmm. I felt nostalgic. It
Mm-hmm.
felt like this person was someone I would like to get to know also privately because he was so engaged
Mm-hmm.
teacher. I was like, I wonder
Mm-hmm.
how this person is as a person, right? Not just as a teacher. Um,
Mm.
and what else came up to me again? It's like this father figure. I
Yes.
feel in a way that I wish I had such an engaging relationship with my dad.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
that
Mm-hmm.
tone of that. Um,
Yes.
Even though I
Yeah.
didn't really like, there's little private exchange I had with him, right? But at least I had exchange on like an intellectual level. You understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you had an intellectual connection with this person who was somebody that you sort of looked up to, admired,
Hmm.
but was also kind of fostering you. And you said also that he was kind of polarizing. So he wasn't just like lovey-dovey. He was kind
He
of
was,
like
he was
controversial or
exactly. Yeah, I think especially
challenging.
well, yes, challenging and also just different. I think in Germany society, I feel is also more like not
Mm.
monotonous, but like more
Rigid.
homogenous. Like people are
Mm.
more the same than they are here. I
Yeah.
feel in the States, it's much more common to meet people. They're just oh yeah, just being me. Versus in Europe, there's more of like you have to like blend in. You understand?
Right.
Like
Right,
this
right, right.
have to
Yeah.
adhere to the societal standards and this and yeah, there's a little bit more of that in Europe. There's just more like karmic ties and blah blah blah. It's like that kind
Yeah.
of energy.
Yeah, I get it. That makes so much
So
sense.
that's
Okay,
why
so
I appreciate the guy because he was just himself and different and just like he was really displaying this level of just expression and individuality that I was yearning for at that age. I would say.
yeah. Oh wow. This is very, very cool. Okay. So that was great for the E for energy or emotion. The T is for the title. If this dream were a movie, what would it be called? First thing that comes to you.
The first thing that comes to me, oh my god, this is good.
Yeah.
The platonic relationship with my teacher as a father. What came to me?
Perfect. Oh my God, that's great. Platonic relationship with my teacher as my father.
As my father, yeah.
That's great. So sometimes when we get to the title, by the time we get there, it's kind of like a bouillon cube. It just kind of crystallizes in many ways the essence or the heart of what's going on in this dream. So bravo, very good. And then the S is for the standout symbols and what they mean to you. And you've sort of done some of this already where you talked about this teacher. So he would be the standout aspect of this dream for sure. So we've already talked about the teacher, but let's even talk about the classroom. So if I was an alien and didn't know what a classroom was, what's that?
Classroom it was small size. I think it was like 12, 15 people.
Okay.
It's quiet. It's not a big, it wasn't a big university like hall where, you have like
Mm.
100 people
Yeah.
sitting in a half circle and just looking down at the guy. It
Uh-huh.
was, it was it was an even floor where there's like
Mm.
3 rows of 5 tables or 15,
Okay.
I would say.
Okay.
So it kind of equalizes the feel. Also, much more intimate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess what that allowed me to do is like from my perspective, I was able to just like focus on the guy. Like I wasn't really interested in what was going on around me or behind me I was like locked in on the teacher.
Right. Oh, I love it. That's a great detail. Excellent. Okay, so now we get to the E, the second E in Jet Set, which is the embodiment. And what what that means basically is you take, for example, the teacher and you imagine for a moment that you are that teacher. And I'm going to ask you, so mostly people do this in a journal, but I'm going to ask you to do it out loud if you would. You journal so you speak to me for a second as this teacher about Christian. So would you be willing to do that for a
Yeah.
moment?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So what is your name, first of all, teacher, professor, or do you remember the name? You don't have to say.
I only remember his last name. Like his last name
Okay.
was Müllich.
Mulik.
Yeah.
Okay. Professor Mulik. So what is it like to be you? Somebody who's so kind of self-expressed in this culture that is more rigid or more traditional. So how is it that you're able to do that? What is it about you that gives you the access to that?
So I think the reason I have access to that is because I have a certain set of credibilities that establish
Mm,
me in the society. So that's number one,
okay.
right? And then
Hmm.
because I have the credibility, I can be expressed in that setting of the classroom. Does that make sense?
Yes, like you've earned the right to be yourself because you've already proven that you can, like, what do they say, learn the rules so that you can break them intelligently or something. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and the classroom is, I would say, it's not, it's a fairly private room, right?
okay.
Like,
Yeah.
as a teacher, you can say what you want, right?
Wow.
Because you have the authority, right? Nobody's gonna say
That's
that. Like, not everybody's gonna say every 5 minutes that's bullshit, or like call you out with it, right? People are
yes,
gonna listen, and
right.
also like the students my age, like they they want to learn. Like they're not here to criticize or talk back. They're here to absorb what I have to say.
They're here to absorb, right? So what's that like for you to be in an environment where people are respecting you, leaning in, listening to you, paying attention to you, where you can be relatively at liberty to be fully accessed, fully yourself? What's that like?
So for me as a teacher, not only can I say what I want, but I also know that the words I'm going to say are going to have an impact.
Mm,
Because
mm,
like in this classroom, like it was a private school, so it's not like these are not anybody. These kids, like these are kids that he knows will be at places of positions of power or leadership in a way. So the people I would talk to on a regular basis would be you know just leadership positions, right? So I was aware of that when I was saying it to them, to the younger kids.
wow. So so it's kind of like having impact on future leaders, like not just ordinary impact, but knowing that you're actually contributing to society,
Correct. And
maybe the world.
I wanted to show them that individuality really makes life, like, I don't know, spicy, important, fun. Like everybody can read a textbook. Like I'm not here
Yeah.
to teach you what's in a textbook.
Wow. So, what do you think of Christian? What's your perspective of this student, Professor Mueller? I don't know if I'm saying it right, but
Really, yeah.
uh, just
Uh,
Professor. What's your perspective on Christian?
hmm. I mean, I guess part of that is the protection of myself, right? Because I know my
Yeah.
upbringing and things like that. But I think what I would say if I would be the teacher, the professor, um, was like, this guy is different
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because he doesn't seem to be privileged and he seems
Mm.
actually interested in what I have to say, teach, communicate. And a lot of the things that I say, teach, and communicate are sometimes in between the lines, just like that individuality
Yes.
and that, like, what is it like? Why am I, as a professor, the way I am? Like, I'm not just teaching you facts and textbook stuff. Like, it's it's a conversation that we're having.
Wow. So, if there was one thing that you would like Christian to really learn from you, like if you could sum it up in a nutshell of what you're really wanting to convey to him, what would that be?
Live your life, like honor your individuality, follow that and express that, like, which is what I'm living by example.
That's great. That's excellent. Is there anything else now that we've got you, is there anything else you want Christian to know, or is there anything else that you want to say? Because Christian is listening.
He would say, just walk your path. Like I'm not worried about you. Like I think you're well on your way to live your dharma and what you came here to live.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Professor. That was great. Okay, so take a big breath, Christian, and just absorb that as much as possible. And just consider how, so the Dreamifesting link is to look at your soul goal, which is the reaching 1 million people with your tea, but also floating in that connected space with people. how is this dream helping you to further that, helping you to take a step in the direction of fulfillment?
So this dream for me really is a confirmation of living my unique path through
Yeah.
wellness,
Mm-hmm.
because all
Yeah.
of the things I've started, again, like they come from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
Love Pixel with T. Um, like nobody can start a business if you don't have a personality. Like you can, but you just like won't. It will feel empty
It
after a
won't
while.
cut across. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we come here as humans to express ourselves, and the more individually, the more uniquely we can express ourselves, like the more we are fully realized in who we are.
That's excellent. Okay, so I'm going to add my 2 cents here, if I may, as I'm part of this little dream circle. Um, if it were my dream, I would take this this feeling, this energy from the professor, who is this older, wiser, paternal aspect of me that is no bullshit, but also really sees the path of my success all about leaning on the edge of my creativity, my uniqueness. So when I'm at a crossroads where it's like, well, this is the standard way to do things versus what my intuition is telling me, I'm going to lean more heavily on the side of taking risks, being standing out, waving my freak flag, like more with more pride. And so maybe this isn't so much of a dream that's telling me to change directions, but it's affirming what I'm already doing and maybe giving me even more mojo to go even further. And so at my next meeting about creative marketing, I'm going to say, how might I incorporate more of this energy
Hmm.
into my messaging, into the colors, into the whatever it is that I'm doing? And maybe this is what's going to help me actually achieve reaching those million people with more grace, with more ease. It just greases the wheels. So that's one place I would go. And then lastly, and then just to look at the metaphor of even being in a classroom. From my perspective, anytime a classroom shows up, it's often a message that it I'm in the midst of one of my important life lessons, and I'm a student, so to be humble, be eager, be a good student, but also know that I'm also the professor. I also have the answers. And so I'm both the one that creates the curriculum, and I'm the one that has to have amnesia and forget it and be young and always have beginner's mind. So I'm both of those. And so I'm going to copy and paste that energy and put it on my waking life reality and approach, because often as an entrepreneur, every day is like the wilderness. Like, what do I do today? There's not already a script, there's not already a path, there's not already like a how to manual. But with a dream like this, it's kind of like, yes, I am out there in the jungle not knowing what to do, but I also know I'm also the professor. I've also been here, done that. I know how to do it with a lot of color and spice and grace and lean more out to my edges. So I would do that. Last question for the final T in Jet Set is, what's your tangible? What's one specific way that you will apply the wisdom of this dream in your waking reality?
I think the tangible for this dream comes down to when teaching as the owner of One with Tea,
Yeah.
to be embodying that individuality and teaching that wisdom that tea has. Because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I am the channel for the tea brand. So the words that I communicate, the content I create, how it's being said, um, is what's going to impact and reach a lot of people eventually.
Yes. So, one of the things I refer to this a lot from Abraham Hicks. She talks about how, as humans, we're both freedom seeking and harmony seeking. And often those parts of us are at odds. The harmony seeking part of ourselves is always wanting to have everybody agree with us and having everybody love us and like us. And so that would be the part of us that knows how to fit in, knows how to not make waves, and knows how to kind of toe the line based on what everybody else is doing. And that's good to have that awareness. It's kind of like that saying, know your audience. Like we need to know who we're talking to. But then there's also that part that is freedom seeking, that is wild, that is one of a kind. And we often want to be fully expressed, but sometimes if we lean into that too heavily, we can be ostracized, and people won't pay attention to us if we don't have some ability to blend. Like tea is a blend. A lot of good teas blend some things that are harsh, or the different aspects of the sweet and the sour or the spicy, so that it's really palatable. So I would say, there's something about like leaning further on the edge of uniqueness, which is the freedom seeking, and not getting rid of the harmony seeking, but somehow kind of just blending them as best I can while leaning on the
Yeah,
edge. So I think that's great. That's a perfect way to apply what you just got from the dream. What were you going to say?
and that's also the energy of tea. You know, the energy of tea is, yeah, there is a uniqueness about tea,
Yeah.
uh, but there's also a harmony about tea, right? So
Mm.
I feel that is something that also needs to be reflected in the content, right? If I just am this
Ooh.
crazy person who's like dancing, tea is like doesn't work. Like tea's not, that's not vibe. You know what I mean? You
But I
need
just want to be myself. I don't care about anybody else. Ah! People are like, well, good for you. You could do all of that all by yourself.
have at it, you know. But tea needs to be like, let's sit down, let's have a
Yes.
tea, let's chat. Let's chat about the meaning of life, guys.
Right.
That's tea.
Who blend it together while leaning on, how can I be unique? How can I add that one little crazy ingredient? My friend Joey, who I talked about earlier, who's an artist, she says in every piece of art she does, there has to be some whimsical piece. Like, so every piece, it might look like a beautiful sunset, but there's going to be some little wave that's going the opposite direction, or some little squirrel on the beach. It's like, squirrels aren't on the beach. You're like, what? How did something that is a little bit like, huh?
Yeah, I agree. It's like the
Some
same.
whimsy.
Same with the cognitive dissonance. You know, like Dreamifesting, Love Pixel, like all these things are just like, what? How is that gonna work? You know?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But they do. And I mean, of course they do. We're here to be fully human. We're here to be on this planet at this time. And if we were only human, only here in this world, it would be so dull to not have access to that higher realm. And yet if we're only in the higher realm, then it's like, what do they say? You can be so heavenly minded, so of the light that you can't pay your own light bill. So we have to, how does this light, how does this wisdom, how does it actually make us some money? How does it actually help us attract opportunities that would have us live better lives? So that's why I'm passionate about dreams, because it's like this trust fund that we all have, and most of us don't access it. It's like, we could say that only 5%, uh, according to the American Hypnosis Association, 12% of our mind's power is logic, reasoning, that rational, conscious thinking, whereas 88% of our mind's power is in our dreams, is our dreaming mind, our subconscious, our creativity. And most of us that are rational people just say, well, that's for kids, or that's for people that are smoking too much pot, or that's for the weekends. It's not for the day to day. But it is. But it absolutely is. I mean, look at just you as the poster child today, who had this dream about his professor. And I can feel it just in being in your presence, the energy, the mojo, the permission that it's going to give you to go and be even better, more effective in your actual business, that might end up becoming, like, you might end up using that dream as a guide, might bring you to that incredible ingredient that's going to actually be the tipping point.
Hmm.
So yeah, that.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you so much for, walking me through that. Um,
My pleasure, Christian.
yeah.
Thank you so much for being vulnerable and open and allowing us to poke around in your dreams and in your soul goal, and being a demonstration of the essence of what Dreamifesting is. And there's a lot more to it, and it's broken down into the 12 weeks so that people can do the program on their own, or do it with a group. I mean, it's kind of best when served to a group, just like tea. You can love it on your own, but how wonderful to have a little tea party,
Yeah.
and how wonderful to have Dreamifesting with tea. Hey,
I know. Gotta be a thing. I love it.
could
Uh,
be a thing.
yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you so much for sharing your gifts. Yeah. Like,
you're
you
so
know,
welcome.
live demonstration.
Thank you, Christian. This has been such a magical conversation. I can't believe it's been over an hour.
Mhm. It's crazy, like when time flies. Phew.
I know. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. We're in that there's no time space, and that's my favorite place. We're just soul to soul, dream to dream, and yeah, that's magic.
Yeah.
And I think that's the human 2.0 of what, like, that's what we're meant to do. We're still able to function in this world. We're not so high that we have to separate ourselves from the world. You're going to go back to work. I'm going to go back into my work, but we come back into it with that buzz, with that, like, that remembering that we're in a unified field, that we're floating through this unity. We don't have to wait for one day. We don't have to wait until a million people have had this tea in order to feel it now. So we are already successful. We're already fulfilled. And just like they say, the rich get richer. Like, we're already rich. So now we attract more going forward. We're not going into our day hungry, starving. Please like me. Please buy my tea. Please buy my dream work. Please buy, it's like we're already full and brimming over. So it's a much more attractive place to step into. I
Mm,
think people feel it too.
yeah. Beautiful. I love that. That's so poignant. It's like the rich get richer, and if you can get to that place first and create from
Yeah,
that space, it's a much different um, attraction going forward.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all that, and for bringing your heart, bringing your wisdom. And yeah, I would love for you to let people know, what would you leave them with as kind of like a last piece of advice, and where they can find you and get more of you, because you have so many things going on: books, oracle decks, online programs. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, on a very earthy level, dreamifesting.com is a great place for people to find out about all things Dreamifesting, and that's spelled dream, DreamIFesting.com. I have, if people are listening anytime near real time, I am in the new year in January. I have a new Dreamifesting live program coming up. So I'll be leading people through the book 1 week at a time. And I'm excited about that because it'll be the first time I'm getting to do it with the actual book. I've been doing it with, different iterations of the book, but now it's kind of like, this will be the very first Dreamifesting live with the book. So that starts in January. And then I also have, for people that want to become Dreamifesting coaches, certified Dreamifesting coaches, so they can facilitate their own Dreamifesting groups and get paid for it. I'm going to be facilitating a Dreamifesting coach training program, so that's coming up in January as well. And I also, for authors, people that are wanting to write their books that have a dream to be an author, because that's such an important part. Dreamifesting often brings people to their work, the thing that they want to be known for, which ends up becoming a book. So I also have this thing called the Authors Showcase, where I help people make their dream of being an author come to life. So that's also coming up in January. And there's some free gifts that you can get on dreamifesting.com. And what else? I think that's it. But if I was going to leave people with a message, I would say to have the sense that, first of all, you're in a friendly universe, which means what you're wanting is wanting you. You're not separate from it. You're not just this little person that's trying to climb up a hill saying, please give to me what I want. It's kind of like you're the one that has been running around. God, this is a funny example, but there's a teacher of mine, a professor, who wrote a book called The 5 Men Who Broke My Heart. Sue Shapiro is her name. And in writing this book about these men that broke her heart, in the end, she realized it was her that broke their hearts. She interviewed all of her past loves, and she was the one that was hard to get. She was the one that didn't return their calls. She was the one, even though she had this story that everybody leaves me, nobody loves me, only to find out she was the one that left everybody. So it's like that with the things that we want. We're the ones that are playing hard to get. So it's important for us to stop playing hard to get, to turn around and say, come to mama, come to daddy, come to me. I'm ready for you. I'm building a home inside my heart for you. What you're wanting is wanting you. So wake up. Wake up and dreamifest your very best.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much, Christian. What a pleasure to be with you. I so appreciate you. Thank you, Love Pixel.
Mhm. Thank you. It's an honor to be seen. All right. Well, thanks so much for being on the show, Kelly. And yeah, bye for now.
Bye for now. Send me some